Hello everybody, today we are going to continue our exploration through the world of aristocrats and keep trying to find the best deck. Yesterday we looked a lot at green and black, and then black and blue, and both came up a bit short of expectations. The power level didn't really seem there, the draws felt awkward, there might be some things in the build to shore that up, but for the most part it seemed like we needed a third color. And we played in a little bit with Sultai, which was going well, so we'll probably do a little more of that today. I haven't ruled out Sultai yet. We also have this black-red Rakdos version, which is heavy on Steel and Sack, which is not my favorite way to do Magic. Steel and Sack isn't really my thing, but it is, this is a creature-heavy format. I would never play a deck like this at a standard type event. I barely play Steel and Sack in like Sealed deck or Limited, but yeah, this is a creature-dependent format, and you can get mileage out of Act of Trees and Trader's Instinct, and so that's going to be worth a try. We have our Jund Aristocrats list, which we're looking at. This was one of the first Aristocrats decks that I built after Battle for Zendikar dropped, and it's good. It's all right, and it's gonna use like Vampiric Rites and Evolutionary Leap. We got Flesh Bags in this one, and Act of Treasons and Trader's Instinct. So it's a bit more control-y, not quite as combo-y. Doesn't usually end in a huge husk, although it can, but that's not much less common. And over here, we've got the Sultai list that I'm working on right this minute, and it's changed a little bit since I went off the air, just messing around trying to find the right mix of cards. Let's see, one of the probably strange things is cutting Carrier Thrall to go with Elvish Visionary in that spot to keep the cards coming, and cutting Sky Spawner for Fleshbag Marauders, just trying to mix the cards in and get kind of the right vibe for this. I have Reclamation Sages in here. I don't think they'll actually last. In fact, I was pretty sure the last thing I tried was Gate Creeper in this spot to make sure the mana got right, because we do need double blue and we need double black and we want double green because Evolutionary Leap choked on green sources isn't nearly as good. So we do have some mana issues, so I think I'm going to make that change right now. For those of you who don't know, I also play on iOS, so a lot of times the first thing I do when I get down here to start a stream is update my decks to the builds I was using on iOS last night, because I'm learning over there and then I learn over here, and it rubs off on each other. So why is Sultai probably really good and it's surviving so far? Well, Whirler Rogue is just a much better way to combo off than anything else, than Subterranean Scout, much better than Rogue's Passage, and much better than removing or tapping all the blockers, because it adds 6 power to your Husk when you play it, and unblockability, all the same turn. Using a Rogue's Passage means you already have to have the board out there, and then you have to spend your whole turn playing and activating a Rogue's Passage, so it's not even in the same league. Like, Whirler Rogue is such a big game that it's worth it even in a deck with only 5 blue cards. We also have 5 Planeswalkers in here. Yeah, 5. So this, it's kind of a Sultai Walker deck, but it's different from the traditional Sultai Walker deck where they think you have to surround them with counter spells and removal spells. And our plan instead is to, if we need to, get the Walker out there while also flooding the board with creatures, so they have to get through all these creatures to even get to our Walker, since there are so few ways to deal with them with spells. And even if they do that, we can be setting up a Husk and Whirler Rogue combo to just kill them out of nowhere after they finally deal with that Walker. So I kind of like it. It's got some spice. It's doing well. If you're not worried about the mana issues, these vines could probably be a Carrier Thrall or more land, or if you have, Reclamation Sage hang-ups where you just can't run decks without that card, you can do it that way. Kiora is amazing in this deck because the deck is almost all creatures. We've got 30 creatures and we got 24 land. So anytime you -2 Kiora, you're getting 2 cards almost every time, and it's not weird to play Kiora and go -2, -2. And it also fixes that double blue, double black, double green hang up that the deck sometimes has with the +1 ability. So this is actually the best deck for Kiora, and I would run more of her in this if I could. So those are the decks that we're gonna take out and spin around with today and see if we can continue to work on what is the actual best Aristocrats deck. Now, one thing, there has been some Rakdos decks going around, Mega Beast and DJ, and plenty of other people have been saying they found a good Rakdos deck, Rakdos aggro, and I think that Aristocrats, what I've got right here, is the best Rakdos aggro deck. So let's take it out and put it to the test and see how it goes. I like the deck because it plays threats that get in incremental damage, like Mirror and Arsonist. That it can get in massive damage if you just have a board and have a Husk. It's resilient to sweepers because you can just cast a Pia Kirin or some Dragon Fodder afterwards, so you keep going wide. And you put pressure on them so they try to play blockers to deal with your threats, and that's where Act of Treason and Traitor's Instinct are clutch. So this looks like a control deck. I always assume it's a control deck with that kind of Azorius Gondor looking background and some weird critter like that. This thing with weird mismatched horns. So I was just checking my stream to make sure it was live, and it is. I know it when I turn it on and I hear my own voice barking back at me. So let's get to it. We're gonna see what he's got for us today. Well, he's got a fat stack. He couldn't go below 75. Maybe baked in the sideboard. I'm gonna toss this and hope for something better. That's not better. That's not better. Okay, we'll start like this. 5-card hand, but doesn't get much better for a 5-card hand. We've got 2 cards that can take the game over by themselves if our draw pans out, and most of our deck is gonna feed into a Husk, and we have our colors right, so sometimes you just go 5. And yeah, there we go. So we're drawing right into a curve out if we're lucky. Any kind of control deck is going to have a hard time with these threats that just keep coming and always rack up, residual damage. But what are we up against here? We got a salvage drone. I think I want to attack into that and just make him trade. I mean, we're not getting around it with a carrier thrall anytime soon, so I think we just go for it. And if we have a Scion out, we'll have the option of Firebird next turn, which we'll have to see what he plays. If he's a Touch of the Void type deck, which he probably is, that's not a very good play. We want to try to draw out that Touch of the Void if he has it. And what's it going to be? Well, if we have Husk out, we don't have to worry about Touch of the Void. We can throw Firebird in the graveyard and get it back when we flood out on land. He's thinking. He's got so many cards. Let's see what cards he just couldn't cut from this deck. Hydrolash. Couldn't cut the Hydrolash. Had to have it. Had to go up to that 75. And let's see what else we've got. Are we going to have a third color, or are we just going to be red and blue? I'd almost expect some Grixis, but it doesn't look like it. And if we just pass here, doesn't necessarily mean anything. Makes a counterspell pretty likely. Either one of these, if they resolve, is 2 damage. I guess I'd rather resolve the fodder, so we'll lead with Arsonist. I'm not going to jam Firebird this turn. We have other better plays. Okay, all that resolved, and our opponent's already going to be in a bit of trouble. So we'll see what they do next turn. Radiant Flames, we grow the Husk over it. It hurts a bit, but it's not a big deal. We still have Firebird, which means drawing a land is good, and just about everything in our deck costs 4 mana or less, so drawing spells is going to be generally good. Treason effect wouldn't be good right here. Not unless he plays something to Treason. We have 6 of those in the deck. Same thing with like a Bone Splinter. Oh, that's brutal. Boiling Earth, huh? Alright. Yeah, that hurts pretty bad. Second time I've been Boiling Earth. Not a card that usually makes my 75s, or my 60s, but apparently in the 75 you can run the Boiling Earth. I should have grown Husk more slowly to play around Fiery Impulse. Gotta sharpen up today. Gotta sharpen up. Because this fat stack wants to kick my butt. Alright, well, that wasn't the exact land we wanted to draw, unfortunately. That's too bad. 4 of those in the deck. Had to draw it right there. Oh well. That's probably going to be a big difference in the game, since it lets him get back on the tempo swing. And here we go. Whirler Rogue makes the blue-red cut for sure. So do I want to use Whirler Rogue here? I don't think so. I think we'll put some pressure on with this Firebird and see what he does about that and try to lead him down the Traitorous Instinct path. It would be great to steal a Rogue after we get a Pia Kirin out with some Thopter tokens so we can use the unblockable ability, but that would just be gravy, I think. Alright, he's going to take that. Let's see what else he's got. He's got a handful of cards. I'm talking about Flames, my favoriteest card in the universe right now. Well, actually that's not true. My favoriteest card in the universe is called Ruined Servitor. He's my buddy, for sure. Okay, we're gonna... Oh, this is gonna be painful. Now, I don't think I want to send Husk, because if he blocks with Rogue, I have to sack early, so that's not the play. So what we're going to do is just steal this. If I had drawn a land right there, that would have been so brutal, though. So brutal. I mean, there's an argument for I should have waited and tried to draw land so I could use the prowess ability of the Jinn, but I'm not going to let him just keep a board and do that. That's... heck no. He could just kill me out of nowhere. So that's a pretty big game. He's at 4. Don't have a lot of burn in the deck, so it's not like I can top deck Firecraft and just win. So we do still have to close. But now he has a grip, but he has to be really reactive. And he doesn't have a way to just exile Firebird, or we would have seen it. Hey, there's a card. Okay, so this will be interesting. This will be interesting. I would love to draw another Treason effect. He has 2 Soulblade Jinns in his 75 card deck, and he drew both of them. I've drawn 1 Treason effect. I would love to draw another of my 6 and my 60. Denied. Okay, I'll drop this. And do I want to send in with Husk here? I don't think so. Oh, wow. That's good. Happy about that. So now I just need to draw a land and I can get that guy back. Might even try to Rights into one. I've drawn 3 of my Guild Gates, so drawing another tapped land is almost completely ridiculous. Although it'll probably happen now that I said that. Rolling Thunder. Hear My Cry. It's another good card. And this is actually fine. I get to Vampiric Rights in response, he'll probably swing. If I get a land in my top 2, I get in with Firebird, otherwise I rebuild. No problem. So. Traitorous Instinct, if he swings all out here, is lethal. Well, there's Active Treason. Not quite the same thing. But I can use it with the rights. So what's he gonna do? I don't think he can swing all out. That would be really silly, but he does. Ah, there you go. There you go, my friend. Good job. Way to think about it. So the odds of me drawing some kind of a ninja card that I can steal and sneak through are pretty low, so we'll see what we top deck here, but I might just fire off this Active Treason. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So that's 2 damage to the face. I think I want to slow roll that, and I think I want to make the Treason play this turn. Yeah, because if he lets the Rogue through and goes to 2, I just win next turn. one more artifact and it could have been lethal, but I'll never have the mana to do it all in one turn that way. Does he block? He does. It's a good block. Can't go to 2. You know that Perilous Mirror should be in this deck. It's not obvious, I'll put it that way. We'll hold this to get back this next turn. I don't think he pointed 3 at my Husk. I thought he pointed 1 at me, but maybe I missed something. Hello, Nighthawk, welcome. And nice to see Ender as well. Kind of getting some regulars when I stream at about the same hour each day, and it's nice to see. Feels like a little group hangout. Still very undiscovered, you know. I don't think I get over, 10 viewers or 15 viewers without like a match with Hakeem or something to hype people up. But that's fine, I like it that way. That's interesting. Because if I can flip Liliana, I can get back Perilous Mirror and sack it again. And I'm 1 mana short of being like Liliana, Mirror, sack Mirror, 2 damage, flip Liliana. Get back Mirror. So I think we will do the Firebird trick right now. Because, he has to block that down. We're not going to take too much damage. It gives us another body. And this is like an ace in a hole, and we only need 2 more mana to pull it, and then 1 more turn to win with it. So, yeah, we'll do it like this. It is taking time, and I don't like how long it's taking. It's certainly possible I should just be running Mirror out and sacking it and going to the head and trying to draw the next Mirror, or another way to flip Lily. I don't like how much time we have to put into this, but we have a lot of good draws. Lands are still good, spells are still good. That's a good draw for him. Again, though, he can't just crack in all out. Goblin Warpaint? Yeah, okay. Is that gonna block now? We could use that to flip Lily. What's he gonna do? He is getting much bigger, better turns than we are right now. And he's not attacking at all. Okay. Okay. Well, now we're talking. Options are optional. Okay, so we can definitely get at least 3 damage through, get him to 1. And we're still short of killing him this turn, but he's going to have a tough next turn. So we're going to blow this play up on him a bit. You go to 1, sacrifice you, because I can't put Mirror out and kill it somehow. At least I don't see the play. Goblin Arsonist, and you are at 1. Do your worst, sir. Yeah, you always bring your best for prime time. Ender's like razzing me because I might lose to garbage decks like the one I'm playing right now, the 75 fact stack, but, I'm not losing this one. You couldn't... And honestly, like, one thing that you have to look at when you play against bad decks is, did they draw like bad decks? So, I mean, this... I don't know about this card. This card can be a bad card, but it was amazing when he played it against me. And these are both legitimate threats. They don't get run too often, but, I mean, he had Rolling Thunder when he needed it. Whirler Rogue. These are, But we got double Whirler Rogue, Chief of the Foundry, double Soulblade Jin, and Boiling Earth in a matchup where it mattered. So it didn't draw like a bad deck. It had a lot of answers. And his play wasn't incompetent. He held back blockers. He didn't get blown out the way that, some people might. Or this would have been over a lot sooner. So you have to take into account not just whether or not it's a big deck, but did it draw like a horrible deck. I've played much worse decks that were 60. I've had much less competitive games that were 60. So let's get another one with Rakdos. I think you're probably, let's see, Spencer says that Steel Sack is a poor matchup against Thopters, even if they accidentally shuffle in their whole sideboard. Yeah, sure. It doesn't seem good at all, does it? I mean, what are you going to steal? Tokens? Now, I found ways to make my steal effects valuable, but the main reason that it worked that game was the Jins, He had his two Soulblade, Nighthawk, you could say he traded off his Jin because the last time he had it out there just got stolen and used against him, so maybe he was just getting value and getting Firebird into the graveyard. That would make sense. You could defend that line. Although it's very reactive compared to the aggressive approach that was taken earlier. But I think he was at 4. I mean, I don't know if he could have swung all out. It depends on his hand, how many spells he has. Yeah, I don't like the smell test of a deck like this, a Steel Sack deck with Thopters and other token decks in the format. Not a bit, but, that's why we do the research. Can it still find a way to beat those decks? I mean, this deck goes pretty wide on its own, and it has Husk. But how you get through an unblocked Husk with this deck is much trickier. I tried Subterranean Scout, and I can't get past how generally bad a 2/1 for 2 mana is right now against just about anything. So this game could be good if we curve. Have to hit 1 land, or we have to hit spells that don't cost 4. So it's looking fine. It's looking healthy. Firebird has decided he's going to be our she. I always call my Phoenix she after X-Men. But she is going to be our card of the day, apparently, because as a lowly one of Mythic Rare, she has showed up in our 5-card hand, which, by the way, that was a 5-card hand that we won that last game with. She showed up in our 5-card hand, and now here she is in our 7-card hand the very next game. So our opponent's deciding whether or not to play his Fog, which I think it should be a pretty obvious decision. I mean, is there something else? I mean, Bounded Construct, or... Oh, his land, Gatecreeper. Okay. I thought I was on the play. Oh well. And maybe we have a green-red ramp, so that would be a good test of our metal, for sure. Any deck that I build right now has... First, it has to pass the sniff test of what can this deck do against green-red ramp, or, any kind of ramp, really. Green-based ramp, we'll call it that. What does this deck do against ramp? This deck has options, and it does depend on how much pressure we can apply and if we can force the opponent to cast his beefy stuff, and we can take advantage of it or not. So we'll see. We're being on the draw here, and potentially going up against Acid Moss on turn 4 is going to be really rough if we don't draw A, more land, or B, more cheap threats, because we might get a very crucial turn and our curve eaten by Acid Moss. Our opponent is really considering how to sequence this game. If they slam Evo Leap, it's GG. I don't find that to be true. I mean, there are some people who work an Evo Leap on me pretty often, but I mean, look at this hand. Like, Evo Leap doesn't get him in the air to stop the damage over the top, and it does turn Act of Treason instead of a steal spell into just a removal spell, and he gets another card in his hand. But if you're proactive enough, you just take advantage of that. So you take the tempo from it, you just don't get to take the full tempo from it. I've beaten plenty of evolutionary leaps with active treasons in my deck. It's not the end of the world. You just have to, I think you just have to know how to time it, like anything. You don't even have to have one of the things about their evil leap is you don't even have to have a sacrifice effect now to steal their creature and do something with it, which is pretty cool. You just point this at their creature and they sack it immediately and it's gone and you don't have to worry no more. Now, why wouldn't he put a token on Slide Runner? I don't know. I'm not going to try to get in the head of a madman. So we want this game to go fast, so we're just going to go straight to the air. And I think we'd rather see a swamp get blown up. No, I'd rather see a mountain get blown up. See how it wants to block this time. Probably consider it a lot if we can base, his earlier plays on anything. The Hakeem-bearing avatar over here. Every time I see this, I think of Hakeem now, and I wonder if they're, carrying the flag in his honor. I'm like, oh, it's that covert, that luck sack who top-decked our beloved Hakeem. I must avenge. And that's why every play is getting careful consideration. Alright. Do the dome. I feel like a cat and some good catnip. It feels so good to balance out a asterisk deck. What do you mean? I'm curious. Are you talking about ramp or I don't know. I'm just curious what you mean by that. Not trying to take it to Judgment Town. It's really tempting to have a kind of turn where I just put out Thrall and I take his Gatecreeper Vine and I get in a big hit. And I think I have to do it now because next turn he's going to be doing these shenanigans and this shenanigan. So I think we just have to go for a big hit. I think that's the play. But I don't think I want to sack my Thrall for that hit. I think I just want to steal this Gatecreeper and sack it. He did invest in that a bit, so that feels kind of juicy. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Put him at 4. But I also really want my Thrall there for my Smothering Abomination next turn so I can draw up some cards. I think that'll be worth more damage in the long run. I think so. I think so. I could be really wrong about this. It is a bit of an investment when we could be hitting harder here. But let's go for it. Let's take it like this for now. If he plays Nissa's Revelation, which is my big concern, getting him down to 4 isn't going to make a difference. Reloading on cards it is. Oh, congratulations on making your Gruul Ramp deck playable. What were some changes that helped you out, if you don't mind sharing, if you feel like typing a bit to the group? Just curious. Oh, that's a good one. Evolving Wilds. Well, I would be gaining life if I were him. I really would. But let's see what happens. Yeah, there's the life gain. So, he split it. I don't know what difference it makes if he has a 5-5 or a 4-4, especially with his board now. Kind of saw this coming, though. What to do? Do we still swing with Husk? He'll block with a 2-2, I'll sack, I'll draw a card, and I'll kill a 2-2. Sounds like a deal to me. It's one of his free 2-2s, so it's not like a total blowout, but I think it's advantage moi. And I think we'll also keep applying heat to the board and keep drawing cards. Land's not as bad as it looks. We can just funnel it into the Phoenix next turn. And just put Omnath in your Gruul Ramp deck and it's fine, says Ender. Amen. Amen. Okay, well that's a big play. That's some big game. So, let's, if we draw a treason effect, we just win. So we're going to dig for one of those. That's not it. Ready? Let's do some digging. I think there's also like bone splinters that we can draw. There's a few cards can get us in good position. We're giving up a lot to go for this, but it seems like a decent enough line. And if we don't get it, we can use Perilous Mirror, and we can take out his 2/2 and attack with a big husk and just force him to, force him to chump it down. And we're that much closer to a treason effect, which we, could really use. Anyway. Doesn't look like we're going to get there, but that's okay. Part of the game. So we will go with this, and with this. So he doesn't have a good chump. I think this, it didn't work out, but I still think this is a worthy line to attempt. There's the block. And now we're that much closer to drawing one of those effects anyway. But we'll see how it plays out. The two big husks kind of, yeah, I can see where you might take that route. You'd spread it out. Maybe that would have been better. So he's going after husk here. Okay. I think I see what you're saying about that, and it could have worked. So did he get a, oh, he got Pilgrimage. Okay, so that's just 1 damage. But that's a lot of land, man. We hit a mana pocket. Well, we're close. Hellkite does 1 damage to what, me? Yeah. Gain some more life, sure. Two big husks would have been more conservative and would have gotten rid of both of his big creatures. I guess I really wanted a decent target for my, for an act of treason or a traitorous instinct, but I didn't get one. Now, he misused his Hellkite pretty bad, because he could have killed Abomination by now. And he's building just a huge flyer, which, again, if I get to that act of treason, he's just dead. And I think I still have to play it that way. Oh my. Oh my, he's at 6. Am I missing anything? I'm not missing anything. I got this. I win. GG, buddy. Watch, I bet we draw the act of treason now that the game's already sewn up. Nope. It's just more land, so be it. Yeah, we could have forced him to chump block, and then he loses his dragon and his Curd Ape, and then he rebuilds again next turn with the 2/2s. I don't know. I liked digging there. I thought that the chances were pretty good that we get one of the 2 bone splinters, that we get one of the 5 treason effects. Instead, I think we got, 13 lands. That's what it felt like. It was probably more like 8 or 9, but whatever. Still took it. It was a bold play, but I think you have to make it. I mean, at any point in Nissa's Revelation is like game over there. I think you just have to go for it. I don't run Evo Leap in my Gruul Ramp deck. I don't find it very necessary. I also find it too much work to get what I actually want. But I do run it in a few other decks. It's a good card. Let's go for a third game with Rakdos, and then we'll try one of the others. But right now, Rakdos is doing okay. We took on a green-red ramp deck. I don't know if it was ideal, but it was very landfall-centric, which does produce really powerful effects in the mid-game and into the late game, and we kind of took it into the late game, and we still pulled it off, so that, I think, is really good for the deck, and the kind of thing that you have to be able to do. Any deck I'm playing has to be able to either end the game before we get to late game, or it has to be able to compete and still kind of have ways to pressure in the late game that makes sense. And treason effects, massive card drawing with Nantuko Husk and Smothering Abomination, those are things that will do that job for you. And that's one of the reasons I love Aristocrat so much. It's good in the middle, it's good in the late game, and it's not incredibly slow. And I am very dedicated to figure out what the best Aristocrats are. I really do want to figure that out. I don't know if it can possibly be red-black, just because you play against certain opponents where these guys aren't that good, and then you play against certain opponents where the treason effects aren't that good. And, it's like threading a damn needle. We'll keep this anyway. There's a lot of incremental damage here that could just, that might just win the game. If he doesn't answer, I'd like it better on the play, though. So we're just going to curve out with dorks and make them deal with it. Gate Creeper Vine, Jotty Offshoot would be the best plays to mitigate this. Dwin's lead, okay. Wonder how I feel about elves. It's been so long since I actually battled an elf. I feel like Perilous Mirror will be a pain until, their turn 4 and turn 5 drops. Okay, interesting. If he's going to trade off elves, that has to be good for me, because elves really needs a full board to just be elves. Yeah, looks like you went really big on that top end, Stringer. I'm glad it's running for you. 2 twins. Boom, twin. How you like that? That's got to be fun. I tried the 2 twin route, and I can't believe I'm saying this. It was a bottleneck at 10 mana. So, if you even come up 1 land short of 10, it just felt really bad. And I ended up, if I were to change up my deck right now, I would probably cut my Desolation Twin, and I would probably cut, Green Warden, and I would probably have 2 Plated Crushers instead, so that, you hit that 7 mana mark after, a Nissa's Pilgrimage and Acid Moss, and then you play an untargetable threat. That's usually the best line the deck can take. It has nothing to do with Ulamog. Ulamog is like a payoff for later. But if you can go with a curve of Pilgrimage, Acid Moss, untargetable threat like Plated Crusher or Gaia's Revenge into Rolling Thunder to wipe out anything that would try to block that untargetable threat, it's brutal. I think that's where the deck is shiny and amazing. And Omnath falls into that camp too. You can just do busted things with Omnath, but I also would probably put like 2 natural connections in to increase the odds of hitting 7 mana on turn. I think that's 5 to follow that line. So that's what I'm thinking about ramp more and more. But I mean, I keep getting plenty of reps with it because of the tournament, and I'm having a lot of fun with that. And if he attacks here, do I block and make him pump? Because that would be a really... Oh, cool. Thanks, dude. I don't know what you think your deck is, but it's just, you know, it's a 1-rank deck. That's what it is. I'm not going to overthink it too much. He's just doing the best he can with what he has. And it's about to run into a perilous mirror. Nighty-night. All that work you did to have a board. We're gonna go with the Thrall instead of the Fodder, in case there's a Languish. But I think that's unlikely given what we've seen, but you never know. I think you have to have some pilgrimage. I mean, I can't tell you how many times when I was testing Connection, and when I play Pilgrimage, when I'm like, on turn 4, I'm going to untap with 4 lands, but I really need that 5th one in my hand so that I can do something like play Outland Colossus or play Acid Moss and Fiery Impulse to keep him down on board and down on land. Just really always wanted, you know, that 5th land, and sometimes you don't have that with Connection. Sometimes you're like, land, 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 Connection, and then you untap with 4, but man, did you need that 5. Or the next turn, man, did you need that 6. So I think Pilgrimage is much better. That's where I'm coming from. Well, we're going to shoot that Jagged Scar, but I think first we'll see if he wants to trade, because we're not going to let Jagged Scar just pick at our Thopters. And we're also going to pick it now in case he has, I don't know, Titanic Growth, something like that. If we're going to do it anyway, may as well do it now. Not everything has to be done at instant speed. Alright. And another Archers. Okie dokie. And a Bone Splinters. Yep. Yep, that's Elves. So we didn't draw, like, I mean, Pia's not really a payoff card in the deck. It's just a good card, but we didn't draw any Treason effects. We didn't draw Vampiric Rites, any other sack outlets, no Nantuko Husk, no Firebird, no Smothering Abomination, and it still looks like we're going to run through this just because our creatures are go wide and tough to answer, and because Pia and Kieran is a really good card. And, I mean, man, we are still flooding here. 24 lands, if you're curious. Nothing crazy, but drawing a lot of land just seems to be something that's going to happen in any particular duel. We're going to always sandbag 1 in case we want to double tap a Firebird, but I don't think that's going to come up anytime soon. Yeah, and it looks like we're just going to get there with dorks. Just a dork beat down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 dorks. Got there. Hey, Stream. ZZ in the house. I don't know if you'd rather go by Morg. I don't care. I'll call you ZZ. CGB, can I invite you to a game after this to see if it's my connection or DJ's that isn't working? You can invite me to a game. I'll give you one shot at that, but if it's not working, I've got people to entertain. So, yeah, if you invite me to a game and nothing happens, I'm out. Gotta go find a game. Got people on the hook here. So go ahead, Ender. Invite me to a game. Oh, in case you don't have sound, I'll just go ahead and message you too. I know I watch Twitch without sound quite a bit. Oh, he says he understands. Cool. I will watch for it. There is my invitation. And we're going to switch up our decks, assuming we get into this game, but we went quick 3-0 with Rakdos, which, you know, we played against creature-based decks. We did beat a Gruul deck, which is always a worthy endeavor. Joining session. I don't think it's supposed to do this for this long. I'm going to leave it on this screen, and I'm going to go get a drink. That doesn't look good for you, Ender. Doesn't look good for you, my friend. Alright, let's get back out there. Always down to do a favor for a buddy, but it looks like his connection is not quite cutting it. So, let's do Jund. So Jund kind of mixes the power of the green cards and the card advantage there in Evolutionary Leap, Elvish Visionary, Nissa, and some action like that. And it takes that and it mixes it with some Steel and Sack from red. So we have 6 treason effects from red, I believe, and then we have the black Aristocrat's Shell with Nantuko Husk. We also get Blister Pod, which is a pretty big game. It's the only way to get, 2 Husk triggers off 1 mana, or 1 Liliana loyalty, which comes up quite a bit. So Blister Pod's a worthy endeavor. And this is very similar to a deck I built very early in the season. And it was really good against ramp, which is why I liked it. And I stopped playing it because it's not very good against control, to be honest. It's not as resilient. It's much more kind of board control-y, mid-rangey than, like, say, Sultai, which is really assertive. Cards like Whirler Rogue are so good against control just as cards. And treason effects are bad against them as cards. And it seemed like there was a lot of control that kind of came into the format once the ramp love calmed down a bit. And now that same control, I think, is getting pushed around in the format pretty hard by Thopters and ramp, which seem to be the most popular good decks. Well, Dave, I think you broke my connection, aka Ender, because now I can't get games. Just kidding, this happens all the time. So anybody who uses the Xbox One probably already knows this, but if you're searching for other players, and then it hits the loading screen, and then it hits this screen waiting for other players to join match, but it sits here for like 10 seconds without hitting the loading screen. I actually think I'm down to 7 seconds. About 7 seconds without hitting the loading screen. Then you want to back right out and try again, because it means it 90% of the time will never fire. The game will never start if you just sit there looking at the waiting for players to join the match screen. So as soon as it's been about 7 seconds of that, we can just back out and try again. And 3 in a row is a lot. It usually happens. It's kind of like flipping a coin, I think. Sometimes I'll get it on the first try, or I'll have to go through one try. Once it's 3 in a row, I start to get like, what's going on today? 4 or 5 in a row is pretty unheard of, but it happens. So I think it's about a coin flip if you're going to get into your game. And, now that I say that, we're on 4 in a row. Ender, did you do this? Did trying to connect to you ruin my connection? What's going on? So he and DJ, I guess, were trying to get games, and now I can't get games. So did something happen to Xbox Live again? Let's give this another shot. I spent my morning reading preview articles for Oath of the Gatewatch Standard. And one thing that I really love about Aristocrats is how much it reminds me of the Rally the Ancestor decks. Our Rally the Ancestors is basically Smothering Abomination and Evolutionary Leap. They try to, I mean, they're not even close to as good as Rally the Ancestors is, but they kind of do that impression. They restock our hand and let us do like broken Husk combo-y things. And yeah, Whirler Rogue is also kind of our Rally of the Ancestors. But I really like that kind of deck. I like combos. I like creature-y combos. Either that or Storm-type combos. But I guess Rally did really good at Grand Prix Oakland. It will probably do really good at SCG Open this weekend. I really want to see the World Breaker... I want to see the World Breaker Eldrazi decks literally break the world. I want to see a lot of Kozilek's returns and World Breakers and Ulamogs. That's what I think would be awesome to see in the format. So, looking forward to the coverage starting up on Saturday. And I might stream at the same time. I've got a TV right next to a TV in here. Hey, we did it! Only took 6 tries. I've got a TV set up next to a TV so I can watch coverage and I can play Magic. And usually I don't stream while I do that, but maybe I will. Depends. I don't know if many of you guys watching dual streams also like paper Magic or commentary on paper Magic. So I don't know how much I should bring that up, or if I'm just one of those guys who goes into a Magic stream talking about Hearthstone. I have no idea what those guys are talking about, and I don't want to I don't want to make it more confusing or speak more Klingon to non-Trekkies, if that makes sense. And let's see what we got. So we had actually some 40 ranks and some good opponents yesterday. It looks like those have mostly gone back to whence they came. We've had a bunch of low ranks so far today, but we're just kind of, when that happens, there's nothing you can do about it other than work with what you got and try to feel out your deck, and that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to get a feel for how the deck plays. So this deck does want single red, which we have. It wants double green, it wants double black. So we're going to go get black on turn 1 here. Now, ZZ loves paper Magic commentary, and he is here a lot, so I'll probably do more of it in the future. And yeah, should you watch Magic for a while before the covers start making sense? Absolutely. Man, that's 100% true, Nighthawk. But it is, I gotta tell you, it is a worthy endeavor. It is a wonderful thing. I am not shy about saying how much I love the game, how much I love Magic in general. It's just an awesome game. Makes me really happy. Just about every time I play it. And then there are a few times it's just pain and heartbreak and loss and defeat and hell on earth. But, you know, that's mostly evened out by the amount of fun I have. Twin Bolts. I guess I should have played Rights first, but I still... You know what? If I played Rights first, I still don't think I'd sack draw here. I think I want some board. I want stuff on my board. So we're going to slow roll the red source so he doesn't expect it in case he wants to play something like a Juggernaut. Alright. It is quite possible that ranks mean nothing, and it seems like our opponent is dedicated to burning things, so yeah, the low rank may just be somebody who just picked up the game but know plenty about the game, and you can, you know, his first duty was to put all the Twin Bolts in his deck, so that's pretty smart. Okay, let's get a mirror out there, and now we have Rights up, which makes bolting it look less appealing, and he's been really liberal with that, so I'm guessing this is a deck with a lot of creature burnish removal. Yeah, probably just all the burn spells type thing. Oh, he wants to scry. Do I want to let him scry? Yeah, you can scry, dude. That's fine by me. That doesn't bother me. Scry is worth about a third a card, and I'd rather have the board presence to get this juiced up really soon. Well, you know, that takes care of that. But do I just want to run this out here with one of these? Because any burn spell, he kills Abomination, and it's no joy. Whereas if I'm a little bit patient, I might be able to cast this with Vampiric Rites open and get some value out of it. So I think I want to be patient. And we're also going to keep doing this because the odds of him just throwing a Twin Bolt or some kind of burn spell at it seem good based on how he's played so far. He hasn't waited till end step to try to get more value out of his bolts. He's just fired them off. So, you know, one more land, or I guess I could sack Blisterpod and have a Scion, and that makes the board better for Smothering Abomination to get value out of it right after I play it, in case he has a way to cope. So we'll do that. Ob. Open up and say Ob. Let's do that. Ob's a good backup if he has to, you know, spend some resources dealing with a bomb here. Foundry. Embermaw. Fun. Okay. Let's rock and let's roll. So I'm going to kick the mirror. Like so. Things are looking up. So I think we are going to just have a Steel and Sack turn. And I think we can do Instincts. Oh no, if we do Treason, we have 2 activations with Vampiric Rites open. So I'm actually going to do it that way, since we may have to use Rites more than once depending what he draws and what he does. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I gone... I could have had him down to 2, but yeah. Should have thought about that first if I was actually trying to be smart over here. But not a miss lethal, just close. Let's stock that hand, shall we? That's a good card. Although, you know, it's not significantly better than Rites here. And to threaten lethal, we'll just keep our Scion around. He might be able to get rid of our Abomination now just by killing a creature, but that's okay. Here comes a Firecraft, sure. Interesting. Okay, so we're just going to pitch this for mana because a random card right now is better than a Scion token, and we're going to lose a bomb anyway. And then we can pitch a bomb at the end of turn to Rites. So he got rid of our board, but we left him at 4, and we have a full grip against nothing over there. Pretty good. Let's see what's going on over here. Slowest mono red deck ever. Yeah, that's a good statement. That's the statement right there, Nighthawk. Slowest mono red deck ever. Forever, ever, forever, ever. Let's try to find some gas. It's a long stretch without like a creature to go get, but that's okay. He's gonna have a hard time getting through all this, and he's got Ob to deal with now. This version has 25 creatures, which is actually creature light for aristocrats, which almost all my other aristocrats builds are between 29 and 32 creatures. So it can run out of creature gas more often than others, but as you can see, it kind of makes up for it in this raw card advantage that it gains if the opponent can't deal with, you know, if we get to make value out of our treason effects for sure, but also if he can't deal with these permanents up here. And will we go for the kill? Hey, he concedes. We could go for the kill with Traitorous Instincts, but he can just make Foundry Councils, so he can just make his Thopters. So, not worth it. Not worth it. A husk without buddies is a sad husk indeed. I bet the AI sends the Thopters after Ob. Oh, it does nothing? That's interesting. Okay. Cool. So we'll just do this rather embarrassing barrage of spells, stealing absolutely dorky little creatures to finish the job. So that was definitely the Jund Aristocrats type of game. And like any deck that's going to plod go slow and try to control you, but still have some large creatures or some reliance on creatures, that's, you know, that's just fine. What we don't want is decks that are going to go slow, try to control you, but then drop counter spells and not care about creatures at all and mill you out with a Sphinx's Tutelage or, you know, a creature that you can't deal with or steal, like, you know, a Disciple of the Ring with a ton of mana and a ton of stuff in the graveyard, or a Planeswalker. Way too slow for my taste for a mono red deck. And we had a ton of good interaction going on. Vampiric Rites, you know, got us a ton of value that game. I'd prefer to have 3, maybe even a 4th Evolutionary Leap in a deck like this, but Vampiric Rites is okay. The life gain is surprisingly helpful in a deck that otherwise doesn't have much or any, in a format that doesn't, you know, really, it has plenty of burn spells, but doesn't have a lot of incidental life gain. Really, it's got dedicated life gain, like Nissa's, what is that, Nissa's Renewal. It has the landfall options, but Jotty, yeah, there's more life gain now than there used to be, but green-black decks don't really want to run Jotty or Nissa's Renewal. They kind of want to live in the middle of all that, getting a bunch of value and drawing a bunch of cards. And Vampiric Rites is better for those decks, and a little bit of life gain goes a long ways. Gemini wants to play? Oh, fine. Alright, we can play, but you gotta play a different deck each time, okay, cool? If you're cool with that, we'll play Gemini, who is a warrior for sure. And we'll definitely put our decks through the ringer, and put my brain through the ringer, most likely. For some reason, when I play against him, I get into this, you know, screw it mentality. And I stop trying to make the best plays, and I just throw things. And he says he's building a deck right now, so I bet he's building something to absolutely wreck what we're playing. It's probably going to have tutelage, and it's probably going to be exactly what I said we don't want to play against. I love the red test, though. If you want to bring out the red test, if you want to bring out the Thopters test. Yeah, it looks like we're getting the red test. That or he's intentionally being misleading, because that is a blatantly red-looking deck box or cover art, or I don't know, whatever you call it. Avatar, background combination. How does this deck do against red? It really depends. It's draw to draw. And I guess we'll put it to that test right now. If we can get like Blister Pod into Mirror into a Nantuko Husk, then it's a really good matchup. So we'll hang on to this. And let's see what he's got in store. Looming Spires, that's about the best we could hope for. A little reprieve. We're on the play, and his draw isn't lightning fast. So we'll go like that. Go like this. We'll go like this. Allows us to get our next mana untapped and 3 mana that turn if we want. Here comes Abby. Hello, Abby. Just gonna exile something. So we got a slow draw, but we can guess he has plenty of burn. I mean, you don't keep a draw like that without plenty of burn and plenty of pump, so we can foresee plenty of action coming. So this is a really interesting turn, very early here in the game, as we try to figure out the best way to progress this board. And I think it's going to be that we want to get out Visionary. I think more toughness on the field makes him figure out what to do with it. And then I think we can also cast Rites. But that doesn't leave us a good activation of Rites until next turn, where we go Gatecreeper Mirror. So we still don't activate Rites there, but then the next turn we can do Treason, Sack. 1, 2, 3. We need 1 more mana, but I think that's a reasonable ask. So we've got a very proactive early game, which is great. We can also potentially get 1 more mana off our pod. The odds of a Twin Bolt here are pretty good. Oh, there you go. That's probably even better. Now we can just drop that off. We can take the damage and drop that off of him with 2 spells next turn. So it's not that big of a deal. And I think that's the play. Curving low to the ground is really helpful right now. I'm gonna go for this because if I hit a land, we can do this with that next turn. And if I don't, I can do this with that next turn without exposing it to something. Okay, cool. And we're just gonna hang back. We're the control in this matchup for sure. No reason to attack until it's, you know, pretty devastating. I'll see what his next aura is. Or his next pump flurry. One thing I'm pretty sure of is no matter what, we block from now on. Here he comes. And I don't think we risk a multi-block. I think that's the quickest way to fall way out of favor here. So we'll put up the pod and make him react to it. He can't really gain good value that way. Okay, there's the Twin Bolt. So he can take out those 2. That's fine. Now, do I want to do this turn? A Titan Strength means... A Titan Strength means he can save his guy from a mirror. How likely that is, I don't know. We definitely want to slow roll this. Okay. I think if we just keep his board clear of creatures, that's a good enough use of our efforts. So we'll do it like that. Should have played that land first in case he had some kind of reaction. Life in a card. He still has a full grip. We're actually behind on cards here because of some of the value he got out of those efforts. Yeah, this is Jund Aristocrats. Cow Mao Pow. Cow. Just call you Cow. And I think what we want to do this turn is get out Lily and start torturing him with Lily. He could have Fiery Impulse. Let's see. Fiery Impulse would not be spell masteried right now. And I think we just leave Lily, because as long as we leave 2 mana up to sacrifice something, we can start using, we can respond to any removal spell with it. And I think that's what we want to do. So we'll just leave mana up to flip Lily if he does anything about it, and if not, we'll gain some lifelink. And man, his hand must be all auras and some 4-drops like Pia Kirin or something. I don't know what to make of it at this point, other than it's probably brutal in some way. Building the board pre-combat to increase our sacrifice options with rights. So here comes a Fiery Impulse. What's it going to target? My Husk. Interesting. So we don't want to let that resolve for sure, because then he'll have Spell Mastery, and then another Fiery Impulse can take out Liliana. So we want to activate, with that on the stack, we want to flip Lily. And I don't think we want to use our Vampiric Rights to do it. I don't want to tap out yet. I still want to be able to respond with another activation, so we'll do it like so. Okay. I guess there's nothing I want to get back that bad, so plussing Lily is probably the right road, which means we'll tap out for Evo Leap. And here comes an Impulse. Gonna do 3 damage to my Husk. Do we keep following the sacrifice road? I think we do, because sacrificing any of these creatures, a Husk is better than a 1/1. Now if he has one more, it dies. No question about that. Holding lands. I wonder if he's waiting for a Molten Vortex, and I wonder how many lands he might have. Exquisite Firecraft. Your target, sir? And Tuco Husk. I think we just let that go now. I'm not going to sack the rest of our board for it. We can get to another now, because if we untap with all this action, we're going to be just great. Yep. We'll keep ticking Lily up at this point. No need to put it within burn range. It's one-sided card advantage, even if he is just sandbagging a ton of lands. I think... no, we'll just keep it like this. We'll make him do something about our creatures. It's tempting to sack and just play out more and try to upgrade them, but there isn't a lot of opportunity for that here. We're definitely going to use Leap instead of Rights right now, though, because we need to keep creatures coming. There's a Husk. And was that the 4th Impulse? Third Impulse. Still quite a few. Lots of land for Gemini. Looks like a pretty rough draw. To be fair, plenty of land for us too, but we definitely had that early curve of action that kept him from getting very far ahead, if at all. He never really had a big lead on the game. And that'll definitely do it. I mean, this is ridiculously unbeatable from here. So you guys are just gonna get to see me go off a little bit. I wouldn't blame Gemini if he conceded here, but, you know, he's being a sport. Which is better than I can say one time when I played him on stream and he had a bunch of planeswalkers. In case those of you guys, in case you don't know, you want to do this like during the combat step of your opponent's turn, because if they go to end step, your creatures won't come back until the following end step or the end of your turn. So you need to do these activations with the Liliana emblem on the field in the middle of your opponent's turn, not at the end of it. And here's the fodder. Hello, fodder. So we're just digging for one more mirror, or a flesh bag will do. So yeah, Liliana's emblem with any typical black type effect is just, it's stupid. It's broken. We'll get this out there in case he has another fiery impulse, just to make sure that this goes through. So one game in the bag with Gemini. Looked like a really land-heavy draw for his deck. Necromastery! Well, that's why Liliana is so freaking good. It's one of the Liliana emblem. I've done it before when my opponent has had one, but I think it only happened once. Who is Gemini? Infamous Gemini is another streamer, YouTube, content creator. He puts a lot of stuff out there, and he's in the Xbox One Invitational Tournament. He's actually going to be my opponent in round number 4. He's undefeated, I'm undefeated, we're the only undefeateds left, so we already know we're going to play each other. But you should look him up, Infamous Gemini, I think one word, on Twitch, and check out his streams, and he has a YouTube channel as well. He's not a talker. I don't think he's found his microphone, but... Is he gonna play us? Let me go message him. Okay, it looks like Gem and I got our ducks in a row, and here we go! So again, that looks control-y, and I don't think that this Jund deck is suited to beat a control deck, but we'll put it to the test. There are some things that can drive control decks a little batty with all the value creatures and the value-generating enchantments, but for the most part, they can and should have the answers. And it's one of the reasons I don't like the Jund deck. I like it when everybody's ramping. I don't like it if people have control. And I don't like it if people have Thopters. Sure. I mean, this hand is not very good if he's playing control. So we want double green, double black, single red, so we want to go get a forest here. Double gate creeper isn't good either. We really only want to draw one of those a game. Husk is a pain though. He's got horribly awry open. No. That changes things. We'll at least put it to the test. Yep, there it is. I don't think I'd have cast Husk that turn if I hadn't drawn a new one. I'd have played a Gate Creeper and tried to get him to play it. Now, if he has 2 in a row, you know, GG. It happens. Any changes to it? Yeah, I make changes all the time to my aristocrats list. Unfortunately, they're not, you know, they're not always well advertised or anything like that. Does he have another? He has another. Well, that's probably game. There's probably a lot of changes to whatever list you're looking at. Because I'm always working on my decks. They're not, my decks aren't the same, you know, week to week. Even the ones that I think are really good. There are some I don't touch for a few weeks in a row, but pretty much you should always be working on them because things change. You know, like I said, the meta changes. Plenty of things about decks change. So undo that. He says that's fine. I mean, I guess we just keep testing this counterspell curve and we make him have a perfect hand. But so far, he's had a perfect hand. And this one resolves, but we'll see if that means planar outburst, which is one of the good ways of dealing with it. No, I don't run Eyeless Watcher. If you're looking to just, you know, copy whatever list I have going right now, what you need to do is just take the old list, or whatever list you find, wherever you find it. And, I mean, you should read my blog. If you're on the Duels Diaries, I, you know, post updates pretty often if I think they're relevant. But, I mean, what you should do is just take a look at the list and try to find things that you would change about it that work for you. Everybody has card preferences, and I can, you know, until we have tournaments, and we're starting to have tournaments, but until, you know, we have tournaments over a long period, I can give you a list, but until we have like a tournament winning list to point to as that's the deck you should be playing, all it is whatever I'm feeling at the time. And just my thoughts, you know? And whatever I'm playing against, which is probably going to be different from what you play against. The idea of getting an absolute best or perfect list is it's a holy grail in Magic, but it's often silly. It really is. It's often a very silly concept of having the perfect 60 cards. Let's try to get the pause button. Let's sack our dudes. That's actually pretty good for us because of that. Double white up. Another horribly awry would just be, holy crap. I doubt he runs like Gideon's Reproach or anything like that to worry about. I'm just going to send Husk in, and if he has a Celestial Flare, bye-bye, but yeah. But at least the coast is clear here now. And I'm sure he's kind of like, why? Why did it have to be Nissa? I mean, yeah, sure, Ender, you can run Golgari Ramp. It might be good against Gruul Ramp. I know I feel like Simic Ramp is good against Gruul Ramp. And sometimes you just metagame to beat a certain deck. I get that. Well, I don't know if I'd drop Liliana there even if I had the black mana. I really think that I'll try to get him to tap low again and try to flesh bag Liliana. Yeah, here comes Shambling Vent, so this could be a good opportunity depending on the rest of his turn. An untapped land makes it less likely. And I think we just block here. I think so. Where do we take it? He attacked me. He didn't attack Nissa, so we're just going to take it. I think that's a misclick, but maybe I'm wrong. And even if Gruul Ramp wins the tourney, it's not the deck I'd play the very next day. There's already changes that I'd make there. And I guess I had a visual illusion there because I thought he was attacking me. I'm pretty sure that's what I saw. Anyway. Do we go for this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It doesn't get around a Spell Shrivel, and it definitely doesn't get around a Scatter. I think I'm going to try to make him do more. I think that's the plan. Because if we can just flip a Lily out here, that's going to be a huge game. Yeah, that's pretty good. Interesting. And he's still going to do this. I have to feel like he has a counter. He didn't have a scatter earlier, but it's been several turns, and there's at least I can't really pin down his hand at all because I think he's hit all his land drops, but that's about the only clue I have. Sure. Let's test the waters with this. That resolves. So let's go for this. Yeah. That resolves. So we're gonna sack the Visionary, so let's attack with it first. I'm gonna just hold the Scion back. 1, 2, 3. Actually, I don't think that's necessary, but spot removal, Yeah, we'll attack with both. Disperse. Okay. I think I still go for this, though. And I make him do it again? Can't sack a token creature to flip Liliana, in case you guys were thinking that play was strange. But a flipped Liliana is such a problem. Dispel wasn't going to hit, I think, a single thing in this matchup, so that's fine to discard. We got a good game here, guys. I hope you guys are enjoying it. It's a bit of a chess match, and we really took the line that we had to take, which is to get some walkers onto the battlefield. And I think we're just going to let him hit Liliana. We had to get some walkers out here and flipped to kind of attack him from a different angle. And I think we'll keep drawing cards. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. So, yeah, the Planeswalker Patrol is out in effect right now. And he's got a lot of work to do. And this is how I do it, guys. I get down and I top deck, and I just do broken stuff. And that is Covert 101 if you've been watching me. Yeah, let's see. Good catch, Spencer. I could have sacked Husk in response to the Disperse on Lily, and I would not have had to recast Lily. So good catch. I missed it. You didn't. Props to my viewers. They help me learn every day. Just when you think I'd played enough Magic to know at least most of it, there's still plenty of mistakes. Alright, so we put his Vent to the test. He didn't have a Celestial Flare off the top or a trick. And yeah, Gemini's out, and I don't blame him. You know, this game got lopsided on him quite a bit. But that's, you know, like I said, Covert 101. Get down to an empty hand and top deck like the pros. I wonder why he would hold that land back, especially when he could have played it and activated it. Alright, he invited me to play duels, guys. I think we can agree this game's wrapped up, although maybe y'all wanted to see some some triple Planeswalker Ultimate. But it'll have to wait, and we're going to go into our 6th game of the day and see what Gemini has for us. I think I've told him, it's either him or DJ, but anyway, people that I've played like some matches against, I tell them you can concede any time you don't want to play this game anymore and just invite me to a new one and we'll start a new game. That doesn't bother me one